Well, welcome to all my Facebook friends out there. You know, we come in together for the first 2 minutes of the Carita Dee TV show. So glad to have you on board, friends. Hey, listen, we're going to have a wonderful night tonight because it's about a topic that I love to talk about. It's about women who trap men. And so we want to talk about it. We want to be very candid. Hey, listen, get your stories together because we want you to share them. Put them here on Facebook. But hey, if you're in Barbados, you definitely can call the number. It's going to pop up on the screen, 467-1046. I'd love to hear you call me. Just go ahead and do that. And for those of you who are across the Eastern Caribbean and anywhere around the Caribbean, whether you're in Trinidad, Tobago, Curacao, whether you're in Antigua, Grenada, wherever you are, hey, listen, drop me a line. You can drop me a call. It's all good. I can handle it. All right. Hey, listen, I'm so glad to be with you tonight. Of course, you know I'm Carita Dee, and we're getting ready to talk about something that is really, really rampant right now. And I wanted to bring things that are relevant to outside of the church, that's happening inside the church. I want to make sure that you're right on board with me. Glad to have you on board. All of you. Hey, I want to say a big, big hello to Patrick Snare, always on board from up there in Canada. Glad to have you, Patrick Snare. And for all of the rest of you, make sure that you come online and tell me where you're coming from. All right. Hey, listen, I'm Carita Dee, and we're getting ready to start the show. Glad that you're here.
The Lord has come to give you life more abundantly. He's come to heal your wounded soul and set your spirit free. Mother, sister, best friend or wife, the message is still the same. A girlfriend, get alive. Oh, girlfriend, get alive.
Well, welcome to the Carita Dee TV show. I'm Carita Dee. So glad that you're in the house with me one more time. It's another great day that God has made, and we're going to have some joy up in the house tonight. Hey, I want to say a big, big shout out, first of all, to all my Facebook fans, all of you out there just locked in, locked on. I want to say a big, big hello, first of all, to Patrick Snare, who is always first on board. Big ups to Patrick. Hey, I also want to say a big, big hello to my girls out there, those of you who are locked on already. Hey, listen, I've got a good girlfriend thing going on tonight. It's family night for me, that is. So I got my girl, hey, Ann Edwards. Ann is out there, I believe, in the Big NC, North Carolina. And so glad to have you out here, girlfriend, hanging out with me tonight. Also, I got another girlfriend, Jan Linton, is out there from Barbados. So glad to have you on board. And then we've got somebody else, yep, Indira Muhammad. Glad to have you locked on as well. I'm going to make sure all the girls are representing because it's going to be a good night tonight. I mean, a hot night tonight. Because tonight's topic, it's about women trapping men. Yeah, women who trap men. How do they go about it? What do they do? What are some of the secrets they have? Why do they use it? And what we can learn from this kind of behavior. We're going to be talking more and more about that tonight, simply because we really want to get you to the next level. And we don't want to stay at the same level that we've been at this year, that we were at last year. We want to start improving. So we're going to talk about some of the ways that women actually articulate, they plot it out, they plan it out, they execute it, and then they feel that they have achieved something. And unfortunately, in a lot of situations, you may have the person, but I don't know if you've got something else. All right. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to put the phone numbers up on the screen so that you can make sure that you call in. And of course, you can call from the Caribbean. The number is 855-213-7500. That's the toll-free number out there in the Caribbean. Wherever you are, Curacao, wherever you are this evening, you can call in on that number. It's a free number. I can handle it. Also, if you want to call in from Barbados, that number right there is 467-1046 in Barbados. It's 246-467-1046. So I'm looking forward to talking to all the Barbadians as well. Hey, listen, I want to say a big, big shout out to all of you. Just go ahead and lock in and lock on right here on Facebook. If you're watching via CaribVision, I want to say a big, big hello to all of you in Jamaica, all of you out there in the Grenadines, all of you in Trinidad and Tobago, all of you in St. Vincent and St. Lucia, wherever you are. I want to make sure that you're locked on as well. We've got so many Caribbean islands out there, and I never want to forget you. So if I've forgotten you, make sure if you're locking on to Facebook, you just put your island there as well. We're going to be talking more and more about really hooking up together and forming a very unique movement on this show that we in the Caribbean, and those of us who love the Caribbean and love the Carita Dee TV show, we're all hooked up together around the world. We're going to be helping each other, motivating each other, getting each other back on track. It doesn't matter what you're going through in life. Sometimes we take the ups and downs and we just got to move on through. Life is a journey. It's not an event. All right. Hey, just want to remind you of those phone numbers once again. It is in Barbados. You know the number 467-1046. And of course, that toll-free number in the Caribbean, it's an 855 number, 213-7500. Want to make sure that you're calling so that you can lock in and lock on with us and just, send me your comments. Hey, listen, just to remind you before we get started, if you've been, we've got some big holidays coming up. I just want to say, hey, I am going to be right here this coming week, the weekend, on Thursday and Friday night. I'm doing an explosive show. The reason I'm doing an explosive show is every so often you run into a situation, circumstances. Lots of the girlfriends are sharing, and I'm going to share my own personal, very, very personal story, something that's very, very relevant for what's happening today. I've had a lot of girlfriends call in and share on adultery, and I am absolutely going to talk about that on Thursday and Friday night. It's going to be a big night because lots of girlfriends, some are adulterers and they don't know they are. Some are doing it deliberately and they don't know the repercussions. Some are facing consequences for many, many years later. So we're going to talk about this thing and see how a woman is impacted by her decisions regarding adultery. And I'm going to share my story, and you're going to share your story, and we're going to get ready so that we can help other people who are listening at night as well. Okay? So if you're prepared to share your story, you don't have to say your name or anything. Just go ahead and say, this is what happened to me. This is kind of how it went down. This is what I did. This is what I think I should have improved. And this is how I'm going to look at it in the future. And we're going to talk about it also from a biblical perspective, because God has ways of doing things, right? Every so often, when you think about whatever you've done in the past, you always have to bring in the God component, because it's He who directs our future. So if we're sitting there thinking, well, I can keep doing this over and over and over again, just remember that the great Almighty is seeing what you're doing. So we want to make sure that we are walking in a way that's circumspect so that God can say He's pleased with us, okay? And so that's why, sometimes we tend to think, okay, we tell our children to do certain things, but how are we as adults really walking it out? Are we being phonies, in front of our children? Are we telling our children to lie when in another instance that you want them to tell them the truth? Are we sometimes saying, okay, I'm on fire for God today, but then I'm sleeping in a bed with a married woman or married man tomorrow? We can't do it like that. No, we got to get on track and get our lives in the right order. So that's why we're going to be talking about adultery. Lots of adultery happening here in the Caribbean, and we could just go put it on blast and settle it once and for all. All right. Hey, I'm Carita Dee. It's the Carita Dee TV show. Go ahead and lock on with me on Facebook. Got lots of people who are locked in and locked on. Hey, I want to say good night to Tyler Bell. Hey, you're always on board with me, and I appreciate that so very much. We've also got Andrea Best. Andrea Best is online with me as well. Thank you, Andrea. Glad to have you. Hey, my girl Mars. Always glad to have Mars on. Always loyal to the T. Always, that's my ace, Boon Coon. That's right. Hey, I want to say big, special happy birthday to my best friend Melanie, who's watching all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina. Mwah. Love you, girl. Hey, we're going to continue right here on the Carita Dee TV show. Tonight's show, though, is all about how women trap men. That's what we're talking about. We're going to look at it in the natural, spirit, soul, and body. We always have to understand that that's how we're made. We're spirit beings. We live in a body, and we have a soulish realm, which has our mind, our will, and emotions. So we're going to talk all about that so that we can come to a resolution, and you come to a point where you're so firmly fixed in who you are that when things happen, it doesn't break you. It makes you stronger so that you can continue to go out there and impress the world with what God has given you. Hey, I'm Carita Dee, and I'm going to be coming back in just a moment. So make sure you tell your friends, come on back, because it's all about women who trap men.
Sister, best friend, no,
Caribbean's greatest summer line. Yeah, it's country around the time. 44 is me here. I know you love it here. Troops and festivities. We love the Caribbean. But all night, no time for sleep. Emancipate with me. Back food and folklore. Culture on the 44. Back food and folklore. Welcome to our island shore. Back food and folklore. Entertainment to die for. Back food and folklore. Culture on the 44.
This hurricane tip comes to you compliments the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency and the Caribbean Media Corporation. Be prepared. Check into your home and auto insurance. Confirm that the policies are valid and the coverage is appropriate.
Rita, so you're also a vegan.
Okay, I'm vegetarian. I would be vegan if I didn't eat cheese. That's my only, if I didn't eat cheese, I would be completely vegan. That's the only animal byproduct that I do consume. So if I can just cut the cheese, I know it sounds weird, but if I could just leave it out my diet and cut the cheese, I would be vegan. And honestly, if I think about it too much, I can't have, like if I eat cheese pizza and I'm like, okay, this can't, I start going through the chain of the process.
Sister, best friend or wife, the message is still the same. A girlfriend get alive, oh, girlfriend get alive.
Well, you're back with me, Carita Dee. So glad to have you back in the house. Hey, listen, it's another great day. Hey, listen, and I am feeling good today. I'm feeling really good today. Of course, it's one of those days that if you get up and you see the sun shining, and it does shine beautifully in the Caribbean, you know that us Caribbean women have a certain flair, a certain, you know, a little sass, a certain thing that makes us so unique, you know, that, hey, that's just what we're born with. So I'm glad that all of the Caribbean women are on board with me. And some of you who are outside of the Caribbean, hey, you got your flair too, and I am mad at you. We're going to be talking tonight, though, about what some of the things that women do to trap men. And I really, really want to talk to the women tonight. It's not about bashing women. It's not about bashing men. It's all about empowering us to get back on track. Now, when you get to the point where you really understand this thing, and I mean, I got to talk this out straight, plain, down to earth. I ain't trying to impress nobody. I'm just trying to get you to the next level. Now, many, many years ago, I'll start with me so that you can come on board and share your stories. Many years ago, when I first started going back to church and I started to use the church setting as a motivational area, that's before I really understood, a motivational area to help me get myself back together. I had been used and abused, let's put it that way. And that was because I made those bad decisions. I never blame anybody else but myself. I don't have a victim mentality. I'm not going to walk around saying, oh, well, so-and-so did this to me, and so-and-so that. I'm not that kind of chick. I want to make sure that you understand that, because if you have a victim mentality, you will always, always keep repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again, because you want people to feel sorry for you. Whereas if you learn how to get past the victim and become the victor, then you will get to a point where it is so incredibly secure in your environment that you'll start making less and less mistakes. Now, let me tell you about me. Years ago, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what God had called me to be, what I was placed here on the earth. That is extremely, extremely important in relationships with men. Okay? It doesn't mean that every relationship is going to be successful, but it does mean that if the relationship is not successful, it won't take you back 5-10 years. Do you see what I'm talking about? So one of the things that that being with God has, and one of the benefits of being with God and really understanding and starting to identify things in your life, has to do with the fact that you are learning about you and you are learning to get past what you did before. So what happened with me is I had started making bad decisions based on a past life. And now I just kept making the decisions over and over again. I started listening to other people. Okay, somebody would tell me, oh, girl, in order to get that man, you got to cook for him. Okay, so I started cooking for him. Then another one said, well, to get that man, you got to sleep with him day and night, baby. You got to pull out every trick in the book. So I started pulling out every trick in the book. I started learning what the tricks were. And then guess what? I became a trick, okay? After that, then I started saying, okay, well, what is it? Because it didn't make any difference whether I had the tricks, the whip, the dip, the flip. It really didn't make a difference. It never made him love me. Men are different than women. Men can sleep with a woman and feel absolutely nothing. They can fake the funk, take you to dinner, make you feel like you all that in a bag of the bag of, and the flip and the dip. But it doesn't matter. They don't love you. How do you really get into a man's heart? And so I'm talking about not just the man on earth, but the man upstairs. And so when you think about it, you got to start now saying to yourself, now, is it really that I just want to get in his bed, or do I want his heart? And you have to understand that this flipping and this dipping and this whining and this grinding and this all of this that we do, and we have all these old wives' tales and all of that, really didn't make a difference. Why? Because now, in order to keep him, you got to keep flipping and dipping, boo. That's what it was all about for me. So I realized there had to be something more. Didn't mean that a man would leave you. It didn't mean that a man would always love you. But what it meant was that at the end of any kind of situation, you wouldn't feel so repulsive. You wouldn't feel so sick to your stomach. You wouldn't feel so disgusted with you that now all of a sudden it's going to take you months and months and months, and then you become bitter and you say, I ain't dating black men no more. I ain't dating white men no more. I ain't dating this kind of man no more. I ain't dating that kind of man. And lo and behold, that's all you're doing, going through. You're not saying, well, maybe I just need to take a break, learn about me so that I can be comfortable. It doesn't mean that people won't reject you, but it does mean that you will be okay with the rejection. Nothing is signed, sealed, and delivered when it comes to relationships. But what happens after is what determines who you are. I always say you never know what's in the tea bag till you put it in hot water. Okay? So tonight, that's what we're going to be talking about. I just want to share a little bit about me because that's how I felt. And I know that's how a lot of women feel. They don't actually verbalize this, but when we get together, girl, we can talk. We can tell you what went down. And I cried for a month, and then I didn't know what to do, and all of that. And I'm not blaming men, because my feeling is that you have to take some personal accountability, some personal responsibility of where you are and why you are where you are at this moment. I was looking at this interesting site one time, and I was just sitting there looking at all the ways that women tell other women how to get and trap a man. And it was amazing to me that at the top of the list is this old wives' tale that's passed down from our parents. At the top of the list was food. And I thought to myself, okay, this is how I'm seeing it. If you have something that is relevant to everybody, that it's a command, then it means that everybody should benefit. Until one day I was watching TV and I came across a cooking show. And I said to myself, that man who's the chef, his wife doesn't cook. So how does the principle apply in that relationship? So obviously in her relationship, the way to her husband's heart was not through his stomach. She didn't have to trap him with food. So I sat there, I said, that cannot be a principle from God. That can absolutely not be a principle. Doesn't mean that you don't cook for your husband. Doesn't mean that you don't cook for your boyfriend. It just means that you don't make it a law. Because we get caught up in a lot of these laws that really make us crazy. So the first thing we want to do when we get a man is go get some sexy lingerie. And then we're going to get all the food and cook. And we guaranteed it because we're learning all these things from our mothers. And we're convinced that this is the way that it's got to be done. And yet, it does not guarantee him loving you. We're going to come back in just a moment and hear what some of those old wife tales are in just a moment. We'll be right back.
Sister, best friend or wife, the message is still the same. A girlfriend get a life, oh, girlfriend get a life.
close to a half-century, the Sam Mcquaid Charity Softball Tournament has been staged in Bismarck, Mandan, North Dakota. This team is made up of a group of United States soldiers who paid the ultimate price on the battlefield.
This hurricane tip comes to you compliments the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency and the Caribbean Media Corporation. Be prepared. Keep phone lines free for important calls.
And that's a flour, baking, now the ghee, on your hands like that. So make the balls roll nicely and smooth.
Sister, best friend or wife, the message is still the same. A girlfriend get a life, oh, girlfriend get a life.
Well, you're back with me, Carita Dee. So glad to have you back in the house. We're having a great time in here, by the way. So if you see me just dancing a little bit, you'll know that I'm having fun. Hey, listen, I just want to say a big, big shout out to all my girls out there on Facebook and the guys too. Make sure you drop your comments as quickly as you can so that we can incorporate them into the show and share all the wisdom that you have out there. Hey, somebody told me about one of the ways that people can trap a man is to get pregnant. And we're going to be talking about that because, of course, we consider that the number one way that women use to get men pregnant, to get women pregnant. Also, we found out that some would get pregnant while others would claim to be pregnant long enough to get married, and then guess what they would do? Lose the baby, so-called lose the baby. Now, one of somebody's aunt says she would claim to be pregnant, get the engagement ring. Wow, that's a little bizarre. And then pawn or sell the ring for money for liquor. Okay, that's not too cool. And unfortunately, that aunt died in a drunk driving accident, but she was 26. Wow, please don't do that, girls. Also, somebody else said that when a man has low self-esteem, that you play the virgin card. Okay. And she says it almost always works. Okay. She also said there were a lot of women who teased men and refused to have sex until they were married because they wanted to save themselves for their husband. Well, I can speak to that. Can I speak to that very, very candidly? I have been on both sides of the fence. I've been out there where I have had premarital sex before, I call it before Christ, before my Christ days. And then before I got married, we were sexually abstinent. We had made a commitment that we wanted to honor God with our bodies, and we would not do that, until we were married. And we considered it an honor and a privilege to step into the throne room of God as we made a holy covenant with God to remain, sexually abstinent, and that's what we did. Now, however, to each his own, I guess. So some people say also that some people were date raped before they got married, and some of them wound up pregnant without a husband, and, of course, they use that as well to trap him. So, hey, whatever works for you, girl. I don't know. I'd want to trap my rapist, but hey. Another girl says, she also told me to make sure that I was a chef in the kitchen. Her grandmother said, be a chef in the kitchen and a lady in the parlor and in the bedroom. Now, I've heard that a lot because our mothers tell us that. Hey, you want to be a chef in the parlor, you want to be a chef in the kitchen, you want to be a lady in the parlor, and then you want to be a in the bedroom. I don't know if I necessarily subscribe to that, simply because, you get a lot of people tell you a lot of ideas, and then it makes you so confused. You end up doing all these crazy things, and then you're not really getting to know the person, because that's what it's all about. You have to get to know the person. And you also have to be pleasing this, not just vertical, not just horizontal, but you've got to get the vertical in order. You've got to get that relationship with God in order. Think of the times when you go sleep with a man. I don't know about you, but think of the times when you go sleep with a man and you're trying to trap a man, and then he still doesn't love you. Because, like I say, men can take you out, date you, I've listened to guys talk. We were just talking just the other day with one of the guys right here. And he was saying, look, man, we don't have to love you to have sex with you. So, and I think that's a thing that women just don't get. Oh, he just dined me. He just flew me in. I just had lunch with him. I just was with him for a week and we had hot, blazing love. And who says he loves you, baby? You see, we got to get it right. So we're just looking at some of the ways that women try to trap men. One lady says, I'm 39 years old and I've never been able to get a man to put a new bag in the trash when he empties it, and I've only been able to get one empty. So I'll not get into the issue with the toilet seat, she says, but one of the things that I try to do is I try to pretend that I'm a virgin over and over again. Baby, you're only a virgin one time. I mean, you could keep trying all you like, but it's all good. So all of these are ways that people are, sharing with me that they try to do to trap a man. And we don't want to have that. We want to make sure that you are really incorporating some new information so that you are not trapping men. You are actually cultivating a good relationship. Now, like I said, there is no security, no guarantee that the relationship will last forever. But at least at the end, if there's an end to the relationship, you get to the point where you say, okay, I'm still fulfilled. I haven't rolled myself into some sex slave just to please him. And then I find myself feeling so prostituted when I'm done. Because that's what happens when people disappoint us. Then you feel like you feel like a prostitute. You feel like I gave up, something to get something back. Well, it's just a matter of geography, baby. All right, so that's what we're talking about tonight. If you could put your stories right here on Facebook, I'd love to hear from you. Maybe some of you felt the same way. And so we're looking to see if you have some stories that you want to share with us. I want to say a big shout out to Michelle Victorious McPherson. Good night to you too, girlfriend. Also, Selena Green, she's tuned in. She says, wow, Carita, this is great. Yeah, we're going to get some more juicy stuff going on. She said, Selena, thank you for your comment, by the way. She says, this is a great subject that needs to be spoken about. She says, a lot of women need healing from deep wounds and traumas of the past and allow God to restore their self-esteem so that they believe in their self-worth. And you are absolutely right. Patricia Evanson says, hi, Carita, I'm in the house. And Selena continues to say, a lot of women try to trap a man with their looks and they end up being someone that they're not and feel empty inside. That was me, boo. That was me. She said the man eventually still looks at other women and they end up heartbroken. Absolutely true. This is not about the men right now. So Patrick, I know you're out there. Hey, big ups to you. It's really all about women getting yourself back, your self-esteem, your dignity, your self-respect. Listen, those are the things, believe it or not, that a man that's looking for a wife, a man that's looking for a wife, that's what he's looking for. When you see a man looking for a sleep around, if you make yourself available, you're giving him some phone sex and all of that kind of stuff, he's not looking to marry you. He's just looking to have some fun with you. You see, you're just a fun piece until he decides who he wants. That's it. That's all you want to be. Maybe he's distracted. Maybe he just can't figure it out. Maybe he's got a problem, an issue that he's dealing with. And so this is a comfortable, sidestepping, ego-boosting moment. That's what it is. A moment to boost his ego, to get him feeling I'm back on track. And now I can start really looking at who I want to be with. Maybe it was somebody he was with before. Maybe it's somebody else in the future. But it doesn't matter. What has happened is, how do you respond to the imminent situation? And so if you take now this imminent situation and you decide you're not going to do it the right way, the vertical way with God, then Lord have mercy, baby. You in for a serious ride. Hey, listen, I'm Carita Dee. We're going to come back and talk about this in just a moment.
Sister, best friend or wife, the message is still the same. A girlfriend, get alive. Oh, girlfriend, get alive. I feel perfect.
Guyana's first carnival experience has been dubbed a success. The festival, which kicked off on May 18th, climaxed on Sunday with the parades of the bands. Thousands of Guyanese from all corners of the country, as well as a large amount of tourists, on Saturday braved the weather and took to the streets of Georgetown to get a glimpse of the beautiful and earthily decked out men and women in their brightly colored costumes to celebrate the country's 52nd independence anniversary.
This hurricane tip comes to you compliments the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency and the Caribbean Media Corporation. Be prepared. Avoid sightseeing.
It's not been easy keeping that publicly owned community station alive. And it's part of a network that's seen its share of troubles. Can you talk about that? Why do you think it's been so hard?
I mean, it is so important, Pacifica's roots, going back to World War II and the first Pacifica station, KPFA in Berkeley, founded by a war resister who came out of the detention camps named Lou Hill, who said there's got to be a media outlet.
Sister, best friend or wife, the message is still the same. A girlfriend, get alive. Oh, girlfriend, get alive.
All right, I'm Carita Dee. So glad to have you back in the house. And of course, we're talking about women who trap men tonight. It's a very, very, I believe, pertinent subject, something that we ought to be talking about. It's something that we only talk about in close circles. Perhaps we talk about that with our girlfriends, maybe when we're just hanging out together. Maybe it's a mother-daughter moment where it's very, very intimate in that situation. And the mothers come in and share, well, in order to keep the man, you got to do this. And then another situation comes along and it's, in order to keep the man, you got to do that. Well, I'm here to tell you, really and truly, those are not biblical laws. They're not laws that God can stand on. So we ought to be very, very careful when we are putting laws in place that cannot be sustained by a human being. We have to have laws that are being sustained by God so that God can guide us through the waters. If God didn't say it, man, I'm really, really scared to make it a law, right? So the new trend on the street, and I know it's not technically new because it's been around since the beginning of time, is called the baby trap. Now, women are now have come into some bigger avenues of revenue. A lot of people are making more money. Women are making more money. They have jobs now that they didn't have back many, many years ago, 50 years, 60 years ago. And so what we're finding, the trend is something called the baby trap. The baby trap comes about when a woman systematically pursues a man to trap him into making a baby with her for whatever reason she has. It can be a number of reasons. One, she can do it just for financial support. Well, honey, since the beginning of time, when you try to trap a man to have a baby for financial support, most of the time you don't get no money. Plain and simple. And we know that time and time again because the courts are full of these situations where now we have to take men in to pay child support that they're not paying. So we have to be very, very careful when you say you're going to trap a man for child support because sometimes you don't even know how many other children he has. Hello? Talk to the sister. So therefore, if you're trying to trap somebody through the baby trap method, it may just kick you in the face. It is not a spiritual law. Don't even try to do it. Babies should be made in marriage. Can I say that again? Babies should be made in marriage. Now, I'm not trying to down on you. I'm not trying to judge you if you had one. I tell you my past, okay? I know I've done it. I've had the abortion. I've had all that. I know what it feels like. But I also know that when you change your direction and you start to look at it a different way, it circumvents all the other stuff that we deal with that can make this journey called life a lot more pleasant. So we have to start making better decisions. Now, women with this baby trap, and I know the men are listening too, so it's all good. We're going to help the men tonight. Women are actually poking holes in condoms. And then they say they're on the pill and they're taking their IUDs out without warning their boyfriends. So we want to make sure that many of you who are doing this, can I say 2 words? Please stop. Don't do it. you're going to, not only do you harm yourself, but you're harming that child in the long term. So please don't do stuff like that. I know it may seem like the only way that you could trap this man, but baby, it's not the way. You're not going to trap him anyway, and he's going to walk away from you. All right. A lot of women are telling their boyfriends that they're pregnant and the baby is his, and in actuality, the baby is not. I know a lot of women who have confessed to me personally that they had a baby by a man, and for many, many years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, whatever, forever, the man never ever knew that the baby was not his. And isn't that sad? That is terrible. But yep, those are some of the things that women are doing. And why do we do this? Man, I tell you, some people will baby trap a man so that their boyfriends won't leave them. That is a strong indication that you have serious self-esteem problems. If you've got to baby trap a man so he won't leave you, baby, he gonna leave you anyway. Since the history of time, men do not stay around because somebody has a baby. And that's just all I'm gonna say about that, okay? Some people baby trap for financial security. Yes, it works if maybe you hanging out with the Donald Trumps of the world, you know what I'm saying? And then you could get a big fat check, or you hanging out with the ball players, or you hanging out, you know, with the guys who've got a lot of money. But if you're just hanging out with the regular Joe Blow, and you are thinking that that is going to bring you financial security, think again. Children now cost a lot of money. And so if you think about it, you have this baby, and then the court, you take the man to court, you go in, you talk to the judge, and then all of a sudden you find out, oh, wait, the man says he's got 2 other children that you didn't know about. So now he's assessing his income based on that and 2 other children. And like, lo and behold, you walk out of that courtroom and you're getting $125 a month. Whoop-de-doo. Now what you gonna do? Now what you gonna do? So you baby trapped him and you trapped yourself. So that's why we want to talk about these issues, because they're happening in and out of the church. We are not confessing the faith that we should be confessing so that we can get to the next level. Do you not want to get God involved in getting your child the best education, the best life, the best everything in his life? No, you're going to take it upon yourself to trap this man to get $125 a month. Shame on you, boo. Shame on you. So why are women doing this? Yep, some are doing it for financial security. Some are doing it to lure a man away by having an affair with him so that he can leave his current partner. A lot of women do that. Oh, baby, whatsoever man sows, that shall he also reap. It means that eventually he gonna leave you too. Absolutely. There's no good reason to baby trap a man. He'll resent being trapped. That's what men always do. They resent being trapped. So you don't want to baby trap him. He will also resent being lied to. Men resent being lied to. So if you want to you're trying to trap him and you're thinking that you're going to keep this going, eventually he's going to resent being lied to. So don't even bother. Baby trapping, and any kind of trapping really, only leads to some kind of fall down in the relationship. So when you think initially, oh, I got him, he's not with his wife anymore, I got him, he's not with that current partner anyway, I got him, I whipped it on, I flipped, I dipped, I sipped, I gripped, and I did all that I had to do. I gave him the food, I gave him the body, I did the lace, I did everything that I was supposed to do, and he's not with her, he's with me. Temporarily, I guarantee it. Why I can say that with such conviction? It's because God's word is forever. And God's word says, whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap. So it's totally self-evident to me, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that you are going to absolutely feel the same thing. Absolutely feel. It's bottom line. However, some things, bad things, happen to good people. Sometimes you end up feeling something that you didn't sow for it. Well, you know why? It's all right. There's stuff in the world. But you can absolutely guarantee that when you go to God, you can ask him to take care of you because you didn't do it. Hey, listen, I'm Carita Dee. We're going to come back and hear from you some of your personal experiences when we come back.
Sister, best friend or wife, the message is still the same. A girlfriend, get a life. Oh, girlfriend, get a life.
This hurricane tip comes to you compliments the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency and the Caribbean Media Corporation. Be prepared. Develop an emergency communications plan. Make sure all family members know what to do, especially children.
Reef surf just takes on a whole community of its own, and what's so great is that it's a surf community that you're building in other countries and other areas, and you're bringing these group of people together, and they don't need to speak the same language, but they can surf and they can ride that surfboard.
This hurricane tip comes to you compliments the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency and the Caribbean Media Corporation. Be prepared. Keep a working flashlight and batteries available during the hurricane season.
Well, you're back with me, Carita Dee. So glad to have you back in the house. Hey, listen, I want to say big ups to all the girls who are out there on Facebook. Make sure that you're calling your friends and telling them, lock on, because this is the hottest show coming out of the Caribbean, and we want to make sure that you're a part of it. Hey, listen, I want to say big ups to all the folks on Facebook. Of course, keep your comments coming and love them, because we're going to continue to talk about topics like this, things that we really need to know about to empower us to get to the next level so that we can get back on track. Lots of women are still doing it the old way. Baby, you don't have to do it the old way. You can do it the new way. Hey, speaking of the new way, some of you are going to hear some new things when I come back on Thursday night and Friday night. We're going to be talking about adultery. Straight up, straight to the point. I'm going to talk it straight in the face. I'm going to share my own personal story so that you can come on board and share your stories, and we can help each other get to the next level, okay? Jeanette Mitchell, want to say hi. You locked on. She's saying good show. And also Jalea Best. Jalea says she's dropped a comment on a totally cool. Hi, Lana Evans. Glad to have you on board as well. Jalea says, I know it's a thing for women to keep men on the hook. Yeah, for long periods of time. She promises she will be with him in the future and then tells him to wait and that she loves him. And meanwhile, she's with other guys. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That is so trapping a man. That is that is entrapment at the highest, for real, Jalea, for real. So we don't want to do that. Just keep men on the hook, because we find a lot of women, especially the younger women, as you get older, you kind of get your life in a different spin. But you'll find a lot of younger women, that's what they tend to do. They keep men on the hook. You know, they say sometimes they learn these little things from their mothers. And when you look back, you say, now, where's your life, mama? Why are you living like this? It's because she's living like this because she used to use those same old tricks and they didn't work. You got to show me that whatever you're doing that is not in line with God's word, that it got to be working day and night. It's got to be showing something that's going to work forever, for long periods of time. If it can't work for long periods of time, I'm going to stick with Jesus' way. I'm not going to bother with you. Okay? But here Jalea makes a good point, because she says that women keep men on the hook. And that's what they do. They try to lure them in. And they, in these days now with cell phones, internet, all of that, people are getting more and more into porn. I call it soft porn. It's not hardcore porn, but it's definitely soft porn. Now, let me tell you why I call it soft porn. If a little boy that's 13 years old is reading a Victoria's Secret magazine, that becomes soft porn to him. He doesn't have to read Playboy. He doesn't have to see the adult women. All he could see is some Victoria's Secret where the body has just, you know, the lingerie or whatever. And that is enough to become porn for him. So we want to talk about that so that you understand that everything is not on a major scale. Sometimes it just could be on a smaller scale. So I know that even though a lot of you are thinking, okay, well, men, you can hook men in with pregnancy, or you can hook men in with things, you know, of a greater nature, like putting the hole in the condom and pretending to be pregnant, or some women decide that they're going to tell the man. I know of one lady who, when the man told her he was going away to college, she told him she was pregnant, and then she got pregnant after. In other words, she said she was pregnant, and then a month later she was pregnant. And then she pretended that the baby was premature. And come to find out that when she had the baby in fact wasn't his. Oh my God, it just became one big disaster. So you've got to be careful, women, that you're not doing this kind of stuff. It's really not pleasing to God. God is seeing all, and he's seeing your heart, and you're not blessing your baby's future. You're actually starting up a curse process. So don't do these kind of things. We want to make sure that we're starting productive lives that will end productively. So let's try to keep these generational stupidity down to a minimum, okay? All right, so I want to say big shout out to all the folks once again who are out there on Facebook. We're on Facebook Live, so make sure you tell all your friends all over the world to tune in so that we can help each other get to the next level. I was really intrigued when I found someone who told me that you can actually have some red flags that will show you that there's a pregnancy trap in process. One of them is women can actually tell when a man is about to break up with them. Isn't that right? Yeah, we feel when you're pulling away. We know that you sometimes men are. I heard back in the day from men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We hear that men pull away. They're like rubber bands. They pull away and then they bounce back. And so a woman will get kind of crazy. Oh, he's pulling away. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. Boo, just settle yourself. It's all good. If you truly know where your self-esteem is, okay, if he's pulling away and he's staying out till 12 and staying out till 2 and he's not coming home and he's not taking care of the children and he's doing all these things, boo, is all good. God still got you. You have to develop that vertical relationship before you develop the horizontal one, so that when and if and when these situations occur, you can rest in knowing that God is always on your side, that he is going to take care of you. So if you were thinking, sometimes if a man is thinking about breaking up with her, the pregnancy that comes right after might be a trap. It may be more than a coincidence when she announces that she is pregnant right after you break up with her. There's another red flag that comes up, especially if you have made it clear you don't want kids. Sometimes a man will say, nope, I don't want kids. I just don't want kids. That's it. I don't want kids. And then the woman uses it to secure the relationship with the man, because she's figuring, well, how could he not want kids? I want to secure the relationship with him. So I'm just going to go ahead and have the kid so I can secure him to stay with me if we don't have children. Baby, that is the oldest thing in the book. Whether you have children or you don't have children does not make a man stay. He may stay for a minute, but he can walk away anyway if he decides he's not going to stay. Another thing is she has something to gain from being your baby's mother. Okay, as we say, your baby mama. If she's going to benefit some way by being in the trap. These are trap red flags, okay? Sometimes it may be to fulfill her dream to be a mom. Sometimes she's sealing the deal on the relationship. Sometimes she's getting you to support her directly through child support. Yep. That's it. She can qualify for welfare benefits, or she can secure immigration status. Big one. Big one through the Caribbean and the United States. A lot of women go all over the world. They go meet up with a man, get pregnant by him, and then that seems like it's a more stable relationship and they can secure the immigration status. Yeah, I'm spilling all the beans tonight because I want to make sure that the women are not doing these things anymore. You are not enhancing your life. You're not getting your life to the next level. And for sure, you're not helping your children when it comes to establishing long-term relationships with their fathers. When you do these kind of things, ultimately the men leave. Yep, they just go. They just up and go. They disconnect and they go. And you can't get them to come back. So that's why we're learning tonight to not getting where you are trapping a man.
Sister, best friend or wife, the message is still the same. A girlfriend get a life.
In Northern California, neighbors report a dog is trapped in a nearby concrete wash. The animal appears calm, but is unable to find a way out.
Somehow she got into the canal. They get into the canals. The canals are lined with algae.
And now will they be able to coordinate their efforts?
This hurricane tip comes to you compliments the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency and the Caribbean Media Corporation. Be prepared. A hurricane watch means there is a possibility of a hurricane within 36 hours.
Transfer that to your salad bowl, and now we toast the nuts. Pour half a cup of sliced almonds into a dry skillet over medium-high heat and toss until they're golden and fragrant. It only takes a few minutes. Then transfer them to your salad bowl along with 3/4 cup of dried cranberries. Pour it over your salad and toss together until every bite is coated in that luscious, creamy dressing.
Sister, best friend or wife, the message is still the same. A girlfriend get a life, oh, girlfriend get a life.
Well, I got a little tidbit for the men who are out there. This is the Carita Dee TV show. Glad to have you on board. And we're talking about women who trap men. Want to make sure that you're on board with this because this is going on so much, so flagrantly all across the world, especially across the Caribbean. And we want to talk about it. One of the reasons that we're talking about it is because of what has happened in the last few years is a lot of financial strain has been going on, and a lot of women are making desperate decisions rather than some lifelong vertical decisions with God. And so in the event that they suddenly decide that they have no job, the people close their businesses, and suddenly you're at home and you're unemployed and things are looking real tight. I meet women all the time, man. They call me and they say, "Man, Carita, all I got to last me to the end of the month is $5. And you think to yourself, man, it just absolutely breaks my heart. What do you do in those kind of situations? It makes you much more vulnerable because now you're thinking to yourself, okay, I got to do something that I wouldn't normally do. And that's the danger when you have to go out there and start to do some things that you don't normally do. If you start to establish some principles in your life prior to these crazy circumstances like financial loss, loss of employment, whatever the case may be, then it is probably more likely, I'm not saying it's 100% guaranteed, but it's probably more likely that you will veer towards doing the right thing in those hard circumstances than if you never developed a position at all. I know that it took me a long time, just years and years of being in church and going to get my motivation and going to get my spiritual encouragement before I got myself to the point where I could stand. In other words, having done all you can, you stand. It doesn't matter what you say. I'm not going to move from my position. That's it. I'm just not going to move from my position. Now, if you want to call me the worst person in the world, you want to say that I don't like men, you want to say I don't like this, I don't this, I'm not catering to you, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. This is my position. This is a position that keeps me in that vertical relationship with God. It keeps me sane. It doesn't knock me off the road. It's like when you know, like that tea bag in the hot water. You never know what's in the tea bag till you put it in hot water. That's where I want to know. What's the hot water saying about me today? Am I just going to trip up and just go run and get a man because all of a sudden I got $20 in my purse? Nah, I ain't rolling like that. I don't care if I don't have 5 cents. I'm not going to go prostitute myself with somebody. And that's why you have to see yourself. You have to see yourself as saying, oh, shoot, he just had sex with me and took me out for a snack box. So all you worth, Miss Prostitute, is a snack box. I mean, come on. We got to start looking at ourselves and our situations a little bit better. You mean to tell me you were so hungry that you would prostitute yourself for a snack box? God, help us. So sometimes we need to know what these red flags are. One of the red flags that women do is to go ahead and to say, go ahead, I can't get pregnant today. So you're caught up in the moment, you're getting your groove on, and then you say, oh, go ahead, don't use the condom, I can't get pregnant today. Boom, and you got him. Because he's thinking, oh, he's taking your word at that moment because he's all caught up in the moment. And you're actually, planning your little dirty deed. And then lo and behold, out of a I can't get pregnant today comes a baby that's going to be around for the next 18 years. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're checking that out. Also, you find out that some women will say, oh, I'm not really pregnant. I'm like, what is not really pregnant? How can you be half pregnant and a quarter pregnant or whatever? So we want to make sure all of these are areas that we're checking out, really, really looking and seeing how women are trying to trap men so that they don't understand that this is now a lifelong commitment of a man with a woman. You got to be able to take a stand with yourself and really put yourself in a position that you are honoring not only yourself, but you are having that vertical relationship that you're honoring God. I want to say a big, big shout out to Heather Walton, Lana Evans. Hey, once again, Mars is always locked on, and Heather Walton says she's locked on as well. Hey, I hope that you will continue to drop your comments on Facebook because we're going to continue this conversation throughout the night. Hey, listen, I really, really love you, so I want to come back after the break and talk more about how to get past this low self-esteem and get your self-esteem to the point where you're not making bad decisions. I'm Carita Dee. I'll be back in just a moment.
Sister, best friend or wife, the message is still the same. A girlfriend, get alive. Oh, girlfriend, get alive.
Be prepared. Get cash in case ATMs stop working after the hurricane.
Sister, best friend or wife, the message is still the same. A girlfriend, get alive. Oh, girlfriend, get alive.
Well, you're back with me, Carita Dee. So glad to have you in the house. Hey, listen, it's been great. It's been real. I can't believe this time has gone by so fast, but I wanted to stop and share something very personal with you that I experienced myself. Back in the day, when I had no idea the worth that I have to God, not just to me, the worth that I have to this earth, not just to this earth, but the worth that I have to God, how he so intimately ran after me to love me, to take care of me, to honor me, to lift me up and make me into a beautiful human being. When I found out how special I was to God, how intimately he wanted to pursue me, how he wanted to love me better than any man could, when I found out how he wanted to treat me every day and cater to me and provide for me, when I found out that he was the greatest lover in the entire world, when I found out that he could treat me better than anyone could, any man or any woman could, when I found out that he was my provider, he was my director, he was my CEO, he was the head of my household, he was everything, all that and a bag of chips. When I found out that Jesus could be better than anybody here on earth, that's when I decided to get my self-esteem in line with the way God thought about me. I had realized that I had been treating myself so far different than what God how he wanted me to see myself. I had been exposing myself to men who did not love me and would not love me and who were incapable of loving me. I have found myself in situations where I wanted to prove that I was so lovable that I would just go and dump my the very precious gem that God had given me for a husband into the arms of someone who would take it and just trample on it. Sometimes I remember this scripture from the Bible where it says, don't cast your pearls before swine, they'll trample on it. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. After a while, they flipped you, they dipped you, they rocked you, they socked you, they baited you and grated you, they grind you and wined you. But at the end, that's all you were, a piece of person that they could use for just a moment. Whether that moment was for 2 months or that moment was for 2 years, it didn't matter. The self-respect that you thought you had just goes to the total ground when you realize that what you thought somebody cared for you and did was not care at all. The greatest lover in the entire world is the Lord Jesus Christ. He's the one who loves you, and he doesn't demand a thimble back except his loyalty. I can only hope tonight, ladies, that you really consider this and give your life to the Lord. I'm Carita Dee telling you, girlfriends, get a life.
Mother, sister, best friend or wife, the message is still the same. A girlfriend, get a life.